Growing up, the one thing my parents always said, always, was that they wanted a better life for me. "You're the smart one," Mom would say. Dad would nod and add, "We didn't get that chance, but you will. College, Eliza. That's your path out." I believed them. I was the kid who skipped sleepovers for science fairs, who worked shifts at the diner while juggling AP Chem, who kept every receipt for her FAFSA file. And every time my bank balance dipped below $20, I reminded myself, it's okay. They said the fund is untouched. They've been saving since I was 5. The fund. My college fund. The one thing that made me feel secure. But security is a lie in families like mine. Families that smile and nod, even while handing your future to someone else. It started unraveling on a Tuesday. I had just gotten my acceptance letter to UCLA. Full ride for tuition. But I still needed to cover housing, books, and living expenses. I was buzzing. Nervous, but excited. When I told my parents, they smiled. But it was tight-lipped. Hollow. "That's great," Mom said, twisting the dish towel in her hands. "Really great." Dad coughed. "We'll need to go over the numbers. Timing's a little tricky right now." That sentence, it was like a smoke alarm I ignored. Timing? What timing? I found out about the house a week later. It wasn't even meant for me to know. I overheard my aunt talking to my mother in the backyard, her voice just loud enough through the kitchen window. "She's really moving in next week, but she hasn't even graduated yet. She's pregnant, Lynn. She needs a home. We all need her to be stable." Pregnant? They were talking about my sister Ivy. The same Ivy who dropped out of community college 2 semesters in, who crashed her 3rd car, who moved out and came back 3 times by the age of 22. I blinked, trying to make sense of the words. Mom's voice. "It's not just a handout. She's settling down. Ryan's got a job lined up. They'll make it work." Then the words that cracked something in me. "Besides, we used Eliza's fund. It's not like she needs it all now. Tuition's covered." I stood there, frozen. That word, used, kept ringing in my ears like a siren underwater. I walked out to the backyard like a ghost. They both looked up, startled. "Eliza!" my mom said too brightly. "You used my college fund?" I asked, voice razor flat. She blinked, like she was offended I even knew. "Eliza, listen." "No," I said, my hands shaking. "Answer me." "You used the fund?" Dad walked out then, holding his coffee like it could shield him. "Eliza," he said, "calm down." Ivy showed up the next morning with a U-Haul and a balloon bouquet that said, "Home Sweet Home." She grinned when she saw me. "Hey, genius. Guess we're neighbors now." I didn't respond. She never asked how I was getting to school. Weeks passed. I moved into the dorms with 2 thrifted suitcases and a bruised heart. I took on a second job at the campus bookstore. I rationed my meal plan. I learned how to live off 1 coffee a day and freeze leftover pasta in sandwich bags. My parents called occasionally, mostly to check if I could come home that weekend. At first, I thought maybe they missed me, that they felt guilty, that maybe, deep down, they were ready to say sorry. But it was never that. "Can you come by on Saturday?" Mom would ask. "Ivy's got a doctor's appointment and Ryan's working." Then it happened again, and again, until it became clear. I wasn't their daughter anymore. Not in the way that mattered. I was the help, the babysitter, the sacrificial. Lamb with a kind smile and a shrinking voice. I never said no. Not at first, but I saw it in Ivy's eyes, that smug gratitude. Like she knew they chose her and expected me to clap for it. She once handed me a $10 bill on my way out. "For gas," she said. I left it on her welcome mat. It was my 20th birthday when it broke. I hadn't expected anything. Not a cake. Not a card. But I got a text from Ivy. "Hey, can you babysit Saturday night? Ryan and I want to go to the winery." I stared at the screen, thumb trembling. Then I saw it. Her Instagram story. "Cheers to us, celebrating with Eliza's favorite Pinot." They were toasting on my birthday, using my name, while asking me to watch their child. Didn't reply. Instead, I did something I never thought I would. I opened the file folder I'd been keeping since high school. It held receipts, tax forms, old bank transfers from when Grandpa used to deposit to my 529 plan. And right there, between the account statements, was a signature. My mother's. On a withdrawal slip. $12,000. Cleared after. My acceptance letter came. I looked closer. And there it was. Transfer to joint account. Eliza Tran. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces, in fragments, like a leak in the ceiling that starts as a drip, until one day it collapses the whole room. That's what it felt like when I stared at that. Transfer slip, $12,000, taken from my college account, signed by my mother, transferred to my sister. No one told me. No one asked, but they sure remembered to ask when they needed a sitter, or help moving furniture, or a resume reworded. And the worst part? I never said no. Until now. The shift. The next time Ivy texted me to babysit, I waited a full day before replying. "Sorry. Can't. Finals." She didn't respond. A few hours later, Mom called. "Eliza, she's really tired. She just needs a break. It's not fair for you to keep turning your back on family." I almost laughed. I looked around my shared dorm room, the pile of laundry in the corner, the ramen cup balanced on my economics textbook. "Family?" I said flatly. "You mean the one that stole my future and handed it to Ivy wrapped in a pink bow?" There was silence. "Eliza." My mother started, but I hung up. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. The plan over winter break, I stayed on campus, told my parents I had signed up for the library's temp program. It wasn't a lie. I did take a temp position, but I was also in touch with someone else. Her name was Aunt Lynn, the one who never married, who ran a real estate firm, who had watched the whole Ivy situation unfold from a cool distance. "You were always the responsible one," she said when I asked for help. Time to act like it. I told her what happened. She didn't flinch, just took a long breath and nodded. "Good," she said. "I was wondering when you'd come to me." She pulled out her laptop and asked me a question no one else had bothered to in years. "Do you want to fix this? Or do you want to win?" I looked her in the eyes and said, "Both." The documents they forgot, about what Ivy didn't know, and what neither of my parents remembered, was this. When my grandfather died, he left behind a secondary fund, a small trust, split between all 3 granddaughters, me, Ivy, and our cousin Leah. It wasn't massive, but the terms were clear. The principal may only be touched for educational or investment purposes, must be approved by a trustee or appointed legal guardian. My mother was the trustee. She was not the guardian of my account once I turned 18. She had signed that withdrawal form after my birthday, and I had the proof. Quiet conversations in big offices Aunt Lynn introduced me to a contact, a legal advisor named Mari Santos who specialized in small trust violations. At first, Mari wasn't sure it would be worth pursuing, until I showed her the paper trail. Not just the transfer slip, but the messages from Ivy, asking me to babysit while flaunting wine trips and designer strollers on Instagram. The tuition receipts, the screenshots of the college fund accounts. Final balance. Mari leaned back, eyes sharp. "You have something here. It's not huge, but it's loud." I blinked. Loud? Public court filings, family trust violations, misuse of educational funds. It doesn't take much to make them squirm, especially if that house isn't paid off. The housewarming party in spring, Ivy hosted a gender reveal/housewarming party. The text invite was sent to everyone in the family, including me, as if we'd forgotten everything. I didn't respond, but I went. I didn't wear pink or blue. I wore charcoal gray, and I brought 2 envelopes. I arrived just as the balloons were being inflated, and Ivy was shouting at Ryan about frosting the cupcakes wrong. She turned, her smile freezing when she saw me. "Eliza, you came." I nodded and handed her the first envelope. "What's this?" she asked, laughing nervously. "Something you should read in private." Then I handed the second to my mom. "Yours too." They opened them at the same time. The color drained from my mother's face. Ivy squinted, lips moving as she read. Legal notice. Potential trust misappropriation. Formal review pending. "You wouldn't," Ivy hissed, voice suddenly sharp. Raised my eyebrow. I already did. I didn't expect fireworks. I expected silence. And I was right. After the gender reveal party turned into a tension-fueled, awkward gathering, the kind where people pretend not to notice the frozen faces of the hosts, things went quiet, too quiet. No calls, no texts, not even a guilt-laced voice message from Mom. Just the eerie stillness that comes when a family doesn't know whether to deny, defend, or disappear. But silence is a choice, and in families like mine, silence is survival. Until someone breaks it with truth. The review by March, the formal legal review had begun. It wasn't a lawsuit, not yet. But it was official. Mari filed the report with the trust's financial administrator, flagging potential misuse of educational funds without consent, falsified trustee withdrawal, and unauthorized transfer of protected educational assets. The administrator, a tired man named Gerald with wire-rimmed glasses and a voice like gravel, scheduled a mandatory mediation session. "Eliza, they're going to ask you what you want," Mari told me as we sat across from each other at her office. "Be clear, be calm, and don't flinch." I thought about that for a long time. What did I want? The money? Too late. An apology? Too empty. Justice? Yes. But more than that, I wanted truth. In front of witnesses, in front of my sister, and in front of my parents, who still hadn't called. The mediation room, it was beige. Everything was beige. The walls, the furniture, even the air felt beige, like stale crackers and recycled disappointment. Ivy walked in with a pout and an attitude, her belly now prominent beneath a tight blush dress. Mom came next, jaw clenched, arms folded. Dad didn't show. "Work," she said. Mari and I sat opposite them like calm fire. Gerald sat in the center, tired and detached. "I'll make this short," he said. The withdrawal violated the terms of the trust. It was conducted post-beneficiary majority. "That's you, Eliza. It required your signature. It didn't have it. Mom shifted. I didn't mean... She started, but Gerald held up a hand. You did it. That's what matters. Then he looked at me. Eliza, what resolution are you requesting? I felt my pulse in my throat, my jaw, my fingertips, and I said, I want an admission of misuse, on record. I want Ivy removed as co-beneficiary from the remaining trust. I turned to Mom. And I want you removed as trustee. You don't speak for me anymore. Ivy laughed, short and fake. You're being dramatic. Gerald looked at her. You can leave. This is not your negotiation anymore. Her mouth dropped. She looked to Mom for rescue. But Mom was quiet now. For the first time, really, quiet. Aftermath. They didn't fight it. They didn't have the strength or the legal grounds. Within 2 weeks, I received a letter confirming that I was now sole manager of my portion of the remaining trust balance. It wasn't much, just under $5,000, but it was more than money. It was mine. Mari called it a small win, but I called it a beginning. Family group chat. Muted. Few days later, Ivy posted a new photo of her freshly painted nursery. The caption read, "So grateful for fresh starts. Some people stay bitter, but I choose peace." I didn't comment, but I noticed Mom did. A heart emoji. That one hurt more than I thought it would. But I didn't say anything. I just muted the group chat. It wasn't rebellion. It was survival. And freedom doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes, it comes with quiet exits. One last call a month later, Dad called. His voice was softer than I remembered. Older. I heard about everything, he said. I didn't answer. He sighed. I didn't know she did that, Eliza. I really didn't. But I didn't stop her either. That's on me. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd heard from either of them. I let the silence hang. Then I said, I'm not coming home this summer. I figured. I'll be working and staying with Aunt Lynn. A pause. She's proud of you. So am I. I didn't say it back. I just said, goodbye, Dad. By the time summer arrived, I had shed so much of the old me, I barely recognized the girl in the mirror. Gone was the eager-to-please daughter who waited for thank yous that never came. Gone was the silent helper who quietly watched her dreams get handed to someone else. What remained was someone quieter, yes, but stronger. I had started an internship with a small but rising firm in downtown LA, courtesy of Aunt Lynn's network. It paid just enough to cover food and rent in her guest house. She called it boot camp for the real world. I called it breathing room. One evening after work, I sat outside on her little patio with a bottle of iced green tea in my laptop when my phone buzzed. A name I hadn't seen in weeks lit up my screen. Ivy. I stared at it, letting it buzz once, twice. And against my better judgment, I picked up. The Ask Eliza, she said too brightly. Wow, you're hard to reach. Been busy, I said coolly. Yeah, I figured. Look, I'll cut to it. We need a favor. Of course. We? Me and Ryan. She didn't even pretend to be sorry. There's a wedding we're invited to. It's kind of a big deal. His boss's daughter. But our sitter canceled last minute. Total nightmare. We just need 3 hours. 4, max. I waited. Then came the punchline. You're great with Jaden. He loves you, and we'd feel so much safer with you than a stranger. like I was a safety net they stored in the attic. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I just said, "I'm not available." A beat of silence. "What do you mean you're not available?" "I mean, I'm not available. Period." She scoffed. "You don't have class right now. You're just doing some little internship, right? Come on, Eliza, it's one night." I said nothing. She filled the silence. "You're really gonna say no to your nephew?" There it was, the manipulation. But I had grown out of guilt, and family favors don't grow from betrayal. "No," I said calmly. "I'm saying no to you." Then I hung up. The meltdown. The next day, I woke up to a storm. My phone buzzed with texts from Mom, one after the other. "Eliza, why are you being like this? You know how much stress Ivy's under. You could have just helped for a few hours. What's the big deal? You're punishing us and it's not fair." I didn't respond. But later that night, I posted a single photo to my Instagram story. A snapshot of me, standing outside my office building, badge around my neck, city lights behind me. Caption: "Turns out, prioritizing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival." Ivy saw it. She blocked me within the hour. One quiet conversation later that week, Dad called again. Just once. "I'm proud of you, you know," he said. "Even if your mom can't say it. Even if Ivy won't." I didn't say anything. He sighed. "You were the one we leaned on, Eliza. Even when we shouldn't have. We knew you'd hold." I felt something in my chest tighten. And I'm sorry we took advantage of that. It wasn't enough, but it was something. Her house, my future. Ivy's house went up for sale 2 months later. Turns out, Ryan's job wasn't as stable as they claimed. The baby was colicky, the mortgage ballooned, and family help was suddenly not so available. I saw the Zillow listing. Photos of the kitchen they paid for with my college fund. Photos of the nursery I once stood in, holding a child that wasn't mine, while they laughed over wine. It didn't make me feel triumphant. It made me feel done, like the chapter had already ended, and I just hadn't realized I'd turned the page. To be continued. Next, Ivy reaches out again, this time with desperation instead of entitlement. But Eliza's not interested in revenge anymore. She's interested in boundaries, and finally living her life. Time softens many things, but not everything. Some betrayals fade, blur at the edges with distance and healing. Others calcify, like bone fractures that healed wrong. You stop wincing, but you walk different. By the time fall came around, I was walking entirely different. I had just accepted a full-time offer from the firm I interned with. Nothing flashy. Entry-level project coordinator. But it was mine. Earned, fought for. No one gave it to me. No one could take it away. I was sipping cheap celebration wine on Aunt Lynn's patio one quiet Sunday afternoon when the buzz came. Another unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. A few minutes later, I got the text, "Eliza, please. It's Ivy. I don't know who else to call. Can you talk?" I stared at the screen, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel bruised. I felt free. The call I answered, and ended I called her back. Not out of guilt, not out of habit, out of closure. She picked up after 2 rings. Her voice was shaking. "Eliza, I didn't think you'd call." "What's going on?" A pause, then a crack in her voice. "Ryan left. Took the car. He hasn't paid. The daycare in weeks, and now they're threatening to suspend Jaden. Mom and Dad said they can't help anymore." I didn't speak. I don't know what to do. I can't do this alone." "You're not alone," I said softly. She sucked in a breath. "But I'm not the one who's going to fix it." A beat. "Eliza, you chose your comfort over my future. Again and again. I begged for help in silence while you made noise for favors. And still, I showed up. I gave and gave." She said nothing. "But I'm not a spare battery. I'm not your backup life raft. I'm not coming to clean up your storm." Silence on the line. Just her breathing. "I hope things get better for you. I really do. But I'm not the one you call anymore." Then I hung up. And this time, I didn't feel guilt. I felt finished. The closure they never gave me. Weeks passed. I didn't hear from Ivy again, or Mom, or Dad, but the absence didn't feel like a wound anymore. It felt like space. Space to build something real. I moved into my own apartment by November. A tiny 1-bedroom in a creaky building with cracked tiles and the smell of old coffee in the halls. But it was mine. Every rent check came from my paycheck. Every item in that kitchen was chosen by me. No hand-me-downs, no silent debts. Just freedom. Just peace. The last time I saw them it was at Aunt Lynn's birthday dinner. Mom showed up late. Ivy didn't come at all. She glanced at me from across the table, eyes tired, mouth taut. "You look good," she said finally. I nodded. "I am good." We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We just existed in the same space, like survivors of a shipwreck who made it to different islands. The real ending, I don't hate them. I don't want revenge anymore. I don't need them to say sorry in the exact words I waited years to hear. Because I said it to myself. You didn't deserve what they did. And I believed it. That's all the closure I ever needed.